Trying to sell your house while you're living in it is probably one of the hardest things that you can be asked to do as a homeowner. How do you keep sane and still get top dollar for your home? There are some strategies that you can use to really achieve that result. So let's go ahead and dive in so that we can get you top dollar for your home without you having to lose your mind. Let's get at it. The reality of it is that there are challenges associated to selling a home while you're living in it. And the largest challenge is the one to be prepared for last minute showings. Last minute showings translate into constant cleaning because you never know when the next buyer could potentially show up. So you want to make sure that the place is constantly clean and shows to its best advantage. But it also translates into interrupted routines. The showing might be after work in the evening or at some other time when there is already a specified activity for the family that's taking place, and that routine will have to be interrupted. The end result of last minute showings, constant cleaning, and interrupted routines is mental fatigue. You are exhausted. It just takes so much to be able to be constantly ready to be able to show your home at a relatively short amount of notice. So keep that in mind. If you're worried about feeling overwhelmed, or if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's not you. The process itself is inherently stressful, and what we need to do is make sure that we're clear on what strategies or tactics you could take to minimize that stress. So why is it important for your home to be show ready at all times? The reality of it is that first impressions drive offers. What does that mean? Most buyers form an impression of your home within 3 to 5 minutes of being introduced to it. So when a buyer pulls up to your property and gets in, takes a look at the property, they immediately form an impression, and if your home is not ready to be shown or is not in its best condition to be shown, they may not form a favorable impression. What are the things that impact a buyer's impression of a home? Cleanliness, that is paramount. That's the first thing. Most buyers are immediately turned off by a dirty home. Cleanliness translates into the appearance of cleanliness, but also any stale odors. Those are immediately a big turn off. So make sure that your home not only looks but smells clean. Buyers are also impacted by bright, airy areas. Any windows, natural light, any lighting that needs to be welcoming to bring them into the space are also factors that will have a big impact. So how do you do this without losing your mind? In other words, how do you stay home show ready without going insane? My biggest recommendation for you is to create a daily reset routine, and that's going to cover 3 to 4 areas. The first is at the end of every day, do a quick evening tidy up. Any mail, shoes, other items, bags, any clutter that came as a result of the day's activity, make sure that they're put away in their respective spaces. Try to keep control over laundry. If you have dirty clothes, make sure the dirty clothes are put away in the hamper. And if the clothes have been cleaned, make sure that they're folded and put away, not just laying around the house. That creates a cluttered and not necessarily an attractive appearance. Do a quick kitchen and bathroom reset. So make sure any extra toiletries or appliances in the bathroom and the kitchen get packed away. We're working to try to get to decluttered, clean, open, empty surfaces. Those appeal to buyers the most. And if you have that as a part of your close down routine at the end of every day, that gives you the opportunity to start each day fresh and ready without having to be worried about putting these things away as you're going through your morning rush routine. Simplify your living space now. There are a ton of things that we're not using as a part of our day-to-day, off-season clothing, any extra furniture, anything that you can pack up and put away either in a garage if you have one, or in attic storage, I suggest taking advantage of that opportunity and doing that. This is stuff that ultimately you don't anticipate using between now and the time that you move. So packing it up and having it ready for the move will give you a leg up. It's one less thing for you to pack when it's time for you to actually undertake the steps to get ready for your move. Any personal collections or your storage overflow, try to make sure that everything is as organized as possible. Personal collections, I suggest packing those up and putting them away also, just because remember the goal is to create an environment that the prospective buyer can see themselves living in, and if the space is full of all of your collectibles or all of your personal items, that may be difficult for the potential buyer. So light, bright, clean, airy, that's what we're going for. Pack your stuff away, and that way, two things. One, it's one less thing for you to pack when it's time to move, and two, you don't run the risk of any of them getting broken or inadvertently damaged or destroyed because you're now having strangers coming through your home who may not realize the value of some of your collectibles, and that just solves that problem right out the gate. How to prepare for showings like a pro. The first thing is to be ready to leave the home. The advice I give my clients is when someone is showing your home or someone is viewing your home, it's not a good idea for you to be inside. If possible, I recommend leaving the property completely, but if that is not possible, maybe sitting on the porch, the front porch, or being out in the backyard so that they have the opportunity to go through the home room by room without being concerned about you overhearing their conversation or being put out by any comments that they may have, makes for a better impression and makes them more comfortable, and a comfortable buyer is more likely to make an offer than one who just does not feel comfortable in that space. So make sure that you're ready to leave the property. Shoes, bags, and pets, anything that you have to have in hand to leave the property, have that packaged in advance and ready to go so that you can go ahead and leave. A good idea is if you have any errands in the area that you can run with 15-20 minutes, 20 minutes to a half an hour, that would probably something that would be a good idea to do. A quick trip to the library or the drugstore or anything like that, so that you are using your time wisely and you're giving the potential buyer an opportunity to see the home and feel comfortable there, is probably a good idea. And for those with children and or pets, make sure that you have some activities ready, backup activities ready that can be done. Plan to maybe visit a park across the street or the playground, something to make sure that you're not going crazy trying to entertain kids in the car when the buyer is taking a look at the property, because these things again translate into emotional wear and tear and mental fatigue. You want to make sure that the occasions when you have to leave the home are as seamless as possible for you and actually help you to achieve some of your other objectives. Remember, selling your home is not your whole life. It is just one thing to do in addition to the rest of your life. So if we can make sure that we keep that in mind and plan for that, then that makes it a lot less disruptive and a lot less likely to end up causing you angst and unnecessary emotional fatigue. One of the things that I tell sellers is remember to protect your mental energy. This is a part of the process. It may not be a pleasant part of the process, having to pull yourself up and be interrupted at odd times to facilitate the showing of your home, but this is a part of the process. If you are having showings, that means people are interested, so that is progress. If you have a home that's on the market and there are no showings or no requests for showings, that is not a good thing. And while this is a temporary inconvenience, it's something that's moving you towards your end objective, which is getting your home sold. So keep in mind that this is a part of the process that you have to go through to get to the end result that you're looking for, and not get too worn down by the whole experience. Some common seller mistakes that you should try to avoid. First and foremost, canceling the showings. Homes that are not shown are not sold. Very few people are buying homes without having had the opportunity to go through them. During the pandemic, we had many instances of homes being sold sight unseen, not so much anymore. Most people want to walk through the home because we all realize that there are a lot of intangibles that cannot be captured by photographs or video, and they want to get the sense of what those intangibles are, what that feels like, what the home feels like when they actually visit. Being home during the home tours, again, I touched on it earlier, not a great idea. Your presence makes the buyers uncomfortable and may prevent them from imagining themselves in the space. They probably are going to rush through and they won't open closets or linger in the rooms, and that's not what you want. You want them to actually feel very comfortable in the space, because the more comfortable they are is the more likely that they can imagine themselves living there and ultimately be looking to make an offer. A third mistake that a lot of sellers make is they ignore feedback. If there's something in your home that a buyer points out as a negative item, that's an opportunity to take corrective action. It's not a good idea to just figure that that was just a bad buyer. Chances are, if they see it and think it's significant enough to point it out as an issue, other buyers may see the same thing. So make sure that you take into consideration any feedback that you get from any of the buyers who have walked through the property, and try to address any concerns that those comments or that feedback have brought to your attention. And then last but not least, getting frustrated and letting your frustration show when buyers show up. I've had situations where we've had sellers who've gotten frustrated and they've been rude to buyers. The easiest way to turn a buyer off even the best property is to be rude or not welcoming to them. So you definitely don't want to do that, because that will undermine all of the other work that you did to get the home properly ready to be on the market and to get a good reception. Remember, every showing moves you closer to the right buyer, the perfect family who will walk in and fall in love with your home. The thing to remember is that buyers need to have access to be able to pick your property. Don't make it hard to show. Try to be as flexible as possible and make it available as much as possible, even though we all acknowledge it's incredibly inconvenient to try to live your life and do that at the same time. But prayerfully, if your home is well prepared and you're providing access, reasonable access to the property, it won't stay on the market too long. You will find the right buyer and you can get back to leading your normal life. So just remember, show-ready condition translates into a higher price, stronger offers, and puts you into a stronger negotiation position. I know it's a lot, but believe me, you can do this. And if you would like to go over a personalized selling strategy for you and your circumstance, please feel free to reach out to me. Visit my website at simplyaskSharon.com, where you can schedule a free consultation to talk about what steps we can take to get you from selling to sold with as minimal disruption as possible. I hope you found this information helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.